Craig, it's great to have you with us tonight. For 2 decades, the U.S. has claimed the Afghan army and police were successfully being trained to become strong enough to protect themselves from the Taliban. Here's a quote in 2011 from Caldwell, who was the head of U.S. and NATO training there. He says, "They're probably the best trained, the best equipped, and the best led of any forces we've developed yet inside of Afghanistan." What does your reporting tell you about what was really going on behind the scenes all this time?
Well, it's exactly that. In public, the generals, the White House, and other people through 3 presidential administrations kept assuring the American people that this nation-building project to stand up an Afghan army and paramilitary police force from scratch was working. I mean, it was known all along this would be difficult because this army was being built from the ground up. But the United States kept saying this was working. This was the whole linchpin of our strategy, was to build up the Afghan army so they could defend their own country so we could leave. You heard General Milley there talk about how he didn't anticipate a total collapse. General Milley's been involved in the training and oversight of the Afghan army. He was first in Afghanistan, I believe, in 2003. And as recently as 2014, 2015, he reassured the public that the Afghan army was successful and was going to defend their own country. So, there's a real contrast here between what was being said in public and in private, where military trainers said in documents that we obtained that, just horror story after horror story about the development of the Afghan army.
And you've reported on a series of secret deals the Taliban brokered with Afghan government officials. What was the nature of these deals, and were they a main reason the Taliban was then able to advance so quickly?
They were, and there's sort of a tradition in the Afghan way of war that militia commanders or warlords, they've had so much fighting over the years that they kind of put their finger to the wind, and if they feel that one side's going to emerge victorious, they're very quick to jump ship and change their allegiances. And the Taliban, of course, because they're familiar with their country more than we are, anticipated this, and they laid the groundwork in recent weeks and months that they were going to send their forces throughout the country and try and negotiate these deals whereby provincial commanders or Afghan forces in urban areas would switch sides. And that's exactly what happened. And it happened in a matter of days. And the United States was caught flat-footed by this.
Your book examines what was really going on the ground in Afghanistan during this war, the longest war in American history. So in light of the way this has ended, was the public deceived about what was going on in the country? Would they have had a different opinion about the pullout? Or does this, you think, gratify those who said, as President Biden tried to argue this morning, that it was always going to be chaos?
Let's be clear. The public was absolutely deceived over the years by multiple White Houses, multiple generals at the Pentagon about what was going on in the progress or lack thereof. President Biden is now saying that, this was inevitable, this kind of chaos, but that's not what he said just a few weeks ago. Back in June, he was asked if we could see another Saigon moment in Afghanistan with the U.S. pulling out. He was very dismissive of this. He says, no, absolutely no way. That's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. And then, of course, something did happen just like that, if not worse. So I think all along, the U.S. officials have had a hard time reckoning with reality and being honest with the American people about the difficulties in Afghanistan.